Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Northern Kentucky Spotlight podcast presented by CVG. I hope you guys are geared up for another great episode of the podcast today. First up, we're joined by Patty Lushek-Reggio, a First Tee of Greater Cincinnati in Northern Kentucky. She highlights their plans for this fall and how you can get involved with their organization. And on our Talent Strategy Spotlight, Nancy Eigel-Miller of 1 in 5 shares what employers need to know about mental health education with Nancy Spivey. Thank you to our podcast sponsors, CVG, our title sponsor, Seacrew Consulting, our digital sponsor, and our episode sponsor, Schneller Knockelman. We have a great event coming up for you guys here in the next few weeks. On Wednesday, October 9th, we are hosting our government forum featuring Attorney General Russell Coleman. During this forum, General Coleman will provide an in-depth update on the critical work that his office is undertaking on behalf of the Commonwealth and will share insights into his work defending the state's laws and ensuring the safety and well-being of all Kentuckians. You can register for that event at nkychamber.com/events. I won't keep you guys long in the intro, so let's go hear from our sponsors, meet our members of the week, and Nancy and I will be back with this week's guests.
Why would you travel to England?
For football.
To go or not to go?
That is an easy question.
To visit the land of Shakespeare.
To take in all the sights.
Authentic fish and chips.
To experience arts and culture.
2 words, British Open.
To visit my family.
Same reason I go anywhere. For a pint of beer. To start my trip through Europe.
Whatever your reason, there's no better time than now.
Congratulations to our members of the week. You can learn more about these businesses by following the Northern Kentucky Chamber on social media, where we will highlight one of these businesses each day. Now, let's meet our members of the week. Greater Cincinnati Foundation is the region's leading community foundation, serving an 8-county region in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. Woolpert is a premier architecture, engineering, geospatial, and strategic consulting firm with a vision to become one of the best companies in the world. The late Connie S. Goder founded Connie Co. in 1990, growing it to a nationally recognized construction consultancy, known for its extraordinary team and commitment to superior client service. Blair Tech is celebrating 20 years in business in 2025. They are experts in sales and service of refurbished PCs and laptops. Founded in 2007, 4 Entertainment Group, 4EG, was formed to produce thriving unique bars and restaurants throughout the Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky region. Hi, everyone. Today on the podcast, I am joined by Patty Lushek-Reggio, the CEO of First Tee of Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. Patty, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having us, Sarah.
Yes, it is great to have you. A lot of our viewers and listeners, if they were at the golf outing that we had in August, they probably saw you and one of your other teammates. So tell us a little bit about how the golf outing went.
Absolutely. Such fun and such a great opportunity for First Tee of Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky to engage with the Northern Kentucky business community. Super proud that our coaches Ben and Tyler were there to give some instruction to new and emerging golfers, adult golfers this time, and introduce our mission in such a way. It was just a great time was had by all, and we will look forward to returning again this year or next year and hopefully again being the clinic sponsors.
Yes, we would love to have you. I know that event is so much fun. The pictures looked great. I am so excited that you guys were able to participate. And like you said, bring that golf expertise and that love of golf and those instructions to an adult audience, because you guys deal a lot with students and younger people who are just learning or are advancing their skills. So tell us a little bit about how your summer went.
Absolutely. So as you said, First Tee is a youth development organization, and we actually have 3 seasons, spring, summer, and fall. So I'll talk a little bit about fall, I think, later in our chat. But summer is really our biggest, broadest season. And so most of the 1,200 or 1,300 kids that will serve in golf course programming throughout the year will join us either as a summer session unique participant, or they'll be joining us also in spring and fall, kind of on the other side. Some of our biggest partnerships happen through the summer. Obviously, when kids and teens aren't in school, it gives us more opportunity to run things like camps and do some clinics. So this year, we were so pleased to welcome back some of our major partners. Cincinnati Recreation Commission sends almost 300 kids from their community centers to us every single year. Those are kids that probably don't get close to coming to a golf course, or if they do, it's not a regular thing. And they spend a lot of their time at community centers throughout the summer. So helps them fill their days and have some fun. So super happy to have hosted our community golf days once again this year. Here in August, in addition to our partnership with the Chamber's golf outing this month, we will also have hosted Scratch Golf Camp, which is a collaboration with the Congenital Heart Alliance of Greater Cincinnati and Cincinnati Children's Heart Institute. And so we will have welcomed, I think, 37 kids this year, and a lot of new kids who maybe recently learned that the sport that they chose isn't one that they might be able to participate in a lifetime, and so they're getting introduced to golf through that collaboration. And then, certainly not last but not least, we have a partnership with Special Olympics, and we will have 8 classes with them all through the month of August, and we'll deliver an adaptive curriculum to make sure that all of our golfers have the ability to feel successful, have fun, and really get a great introduction or great repeat from last year of the game of golf.
Yeah, that is great. I love that you guys are doing adaptive sports. I know that is something that is really important for a lot of the kids in our community. So it's great to hear that you guys are doing that. Like you mentioned, you have 3 seasons and fall is coming up. Kids are back in school. I know you guys work with a lot of school systems. I know you guys are doing some clinics. So what are you guys looking forward to for this next season?
Yeah, so we kind of kicked off our kind of schools program, if you will, as we get started here in August. We are super proud to report that we had more kids than ever get reached by our schools program and through our phys ed teacher programming last year, over 27,000 in almost 100 schools alone. So that's really an expanding opportunity for people to get an intro to golf. One of the things that's fantastic about our schools program, and I need to give a shout out to Kenton County Public Schools, they have been a fantastic partner throughout all of this process, and even last year allowed our schools program coordinator to come out and do a presentation at the system-wide level. So Kenton County Schools get a big hooray from us for embracing our schools curriculum and really expanding First Tee's reach through the school systems. But what makes it special is that First Tee Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky actually provides all of the equipment, all of the teacher training, and the curriculum itself, which is part of our national curriculum, to phys ed teachers. And we use like a train the trainer model. So we'll come in, we'll teach you how to do it, we'll support you as you go, provide some ongoing connections, and then First Tee National actually has a First Tee National Teachers Forum. That's an online forum, so you can share best practices and kind of get to know people across borders. So it's really, really a big pillar of how we introduce golf to kids. The program is for elementary and middle schools, and we're always looking at finding good fits and good school systems with great partners. So reach out if you have an interest.
Yeah, that is very good. Oh, I know we have a lot of people and educators that work in those systems here listening and working with the podcast. So hopefully we can get some extra interest, maybe expand that across our counties here in Northern Kentucky. But that sounds like a great program. Do you guys have anything else going on this fall?
Yeah, so our fall season actually gets kicked off on September 9th. Registration is open, so go to firsttgcnky.org and you'll see how to engage and register. We actually, as part of our fall program, also offer a homeschool program specifically for parents and kids that are learning at home and are looking for communities to get engaged with around physical health, well-being, and of course our life skills curriculum. So lots going on. We'll be in 4 locations in the fall at Kenton County Golf Courses in Kentucky, but also at Reeves, which is at our Lunken Airport location, very accessible to Northern Kentucky families, Meadowlinks and Newman on the west side of Cincinnati. So 30 classes, go check it out. And don't be afraid if you've never picked up a golf club before. Just a quick reminder that we are an age-based program, and we take kids and teens at all levels and all skill levels at any point in their journey.
Yeah, that is so great. And I know you guys have one other big exciting thing coming up later in the year, the Golf Marathon fundraiser. Tell us a little bit about that initiative.
Yeah, September is all about golf in our community, right? So we kick off our fall season. We also are partnering with the LPGA at their tournament this year. And so we've selected September as Golf Marathon Month. And you can actually join as a marathoner, either as an individual or get yourself a team together. It's really our big peer-to-peer fundraising program. So We will support you from behind, but you're the ones that are out there that are going to be raising funds and having some fun during September. It's a virtual marathon, so you won't be boxed into any one course. You can play at your own pace, and we hope you'll reach 100 holes in September. So that's a lot of golf, and for our true golfers, it's great. For those that are more casual about it, be creative. We like to say maybe go out to a par three and go on a quiet day and maybe hit 3-4 balls off the tee and keep moving, so that the folks behind you will have a good experience also. But the idea is that you go out, you have fun, you embrace our mission, and we're really grateful for anyone who wants to golf on our behalf and raise funds for our programs.
Yeah, that is really great. So for people who are interested in that, I know that 100 holes sounds like a great thing for my husband to do on the weekends. So for people that want a little bit more information about that, how do they get that?
Absolutely. Go to firsttgcnky.org. And you can also just reach out directly to me. My email address is patty@firsttgcnky.org, Patty with a Y. And I'm happy to provide all of that information. And hopefully, Sarah, we can put a link on the website for anyone as well.
Yes, of course. Well, Patty, it's been so great to have you on to talk about First Tee. And once again, thank you so much for being a participant and our host of our golf clinic at the golf outing. Before I let you go today, is there anything else that our viewers and listeners need to know about First Tee?
Yeah, I just think people who do know about First Tee know about First Tee, right? And maybe those who don't golf may not make quite that mental connection between what the life skills are and what we teach on the course every day. But if you think about it as both kind of any kind of sport connection, but then added to the fact that golfers get to be exposed to an environment where we like to say they get to exchange social capital throughout a lifetime sport. So one of the reasons why it's such a great fit for us in terms of our work with the chamber is that as business people, as prominent members of the community, as businesses that want to be involved in the community, you kind of get it. You get that networking and being part of a community like that really does help one another lift as we climb. Well, that's what golf does. And so if you don't know much about First Tee, I certainly invite you to either be too late to come out to the clinic this year, but give us a shout out, ask for more information, or at very least visit our website, because we've got a lot of great to share, and we're building great kids through golf every single day.
Yes. Well, Patty, thank you so much again for joining the podcast. It was so great to have you.
Great to be back. Thanks, Sarah.
Ranking on Google Search and Maps is easy to understand, but hard to do. It requires constant effort and attention, uploading new photos, responding to Google reviews, writing weekly posts, and checking suggested updates. Google listing optimization takes experience and time, and there are no shortcuts. C-Crew gives your Google My Business account the steady, consistent attention it needs to be effective, optimizing, updating, and expanding critical content every single week. From local retail stores to large regional networks, C-Crew generates content, establishes benchmarks, and creates dramatic, measurable increases in engagement. So what can C-Crew do for your business? More calls, more clicks, more clients.
Hi, this is Nancy Spivey, Vice President of Talent Strategies with the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce. And on today's podcast, I'm talking to Nancy Eigel Miller. And Nancy, are you the CEO or Executive Director? What's your title at
I'm the Executive Director of 1 in 5.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about 1 in 5. I love the name, but please tell me a little bit more.
So 1 in 5 is a local nonprofit, and we work to do prevention education in the mental health space. And we work in schools, community, and corporately to do that. So we work with really all audiences, with students, staff, and parents at a school. In community, we work a lot with youth and with adults, and then obviously in the corporate space with adults.
So tell me how this organization was founded.
I lost my husband to suicide in 2008, and it came totally out of the blue. And I am a data person, and so I spent a lot of time researching what did I miss, what was going on in this space. And what became very apparent, we still talk about the data all the time, is that by the age of 14, 50% of mental illness has surfaced. By the age of 24, 75% is surfaced, and today it takes 8 to 10 years to get service. And when I first started, there was very little education that was happening. And so since it was mostly impacting youth, I really thought that schools were the place that the education should be happening. And so I looked at what was happening in Cincinnati, and there was a program at Cincinnati Children's that was called Surviving the Teens at that point. And they were doing a 4-day training. And so we created an event that was called the Warrior Run. And we raised money, and 100% of that money went to Children's Hospital until 2014. And then we really started working directly with schools in 2014. We still support, their program is now called Adapt for Life, but we still support that work. We still think it's a very valuable program for schools to have in place. But then we started doing that work directly with schools. We started off with universities, and we came together as a cohort to talk about what was happening at the university level. And at that point, virtually nothing was happening besides counseling. So as a group, we decided what that should look like. So now most universities have QPR trainers, which train most of their staff. They train all their RAs. They train anybody that is managing groups of students. Most of them have peer educators, so kids that are educated about signs and symptoms, how to have a conversation with somebody. UC has mental health champions. They have about 120 mental health champions. A lot of them have what they call like a support network. So kids that are struggling with mental illness, they have alternative activities. So they're not drinking activities. They're not they could be with like-minded people that are struggling like they are. They can come together and have different activities and conversations in groups and that kind of thing. So there was a big change at the university level, and then we started working with mostly high schools. So today we work with about 215 schools in 11 counties in Ohio and in Kentucky. And then we started, it really just started coming at us, community organizations started asking us to do the same kind of training. So it's really anybody that's forward facing, that's managing anybody, that is interacting with people in the public. So like the Red Cross, Boys and Girls Clubs. Like yesterday, we worked with the Mason whole band. So the band boosters have us do that kind of thing. We do a lot like with artworks with all their youth artists. So we do training with them because there's a lot of kids. We know that a lot of times kids with mental illness are very creative. And so a lot of the artists that work for artworks have a mental illness. And so how do they support each other during that time frame? And then just recently, after COVID, we had a lot of corporate people come to us and say, after the pandemic, people were coming back to work, and the stigma had been greatly reduced. And so they would come back to work, and they would go into their manager's office, and they would say, I'm having a mental health crisis. And the manager would be like, I don't know what to do with you.
Right.
So we started really creating trainings for managers so that they had the language and they had the skills to have that conversation with someone, but then also to really be able to talk to an employee about how do you take care of your mental health? What are protective factors? How do you build your resiliency? What do we need to do as an organization to help you if you're in that space?
So I think that was, what I was really trying to focus on in this conversation and what time we have left is, as an employer and somebody that manages others, are there things that we should be doing proactively? Right now, maybe no one's come to us, but I want to be prepared. So it's going ahead, doing the training now. Are there other things that we should be doing?
So we have a 4-hour training for managers. That's a combination of QPR is one thing that we think all managers should have, and that stands for question, persuade, and refer.
Okay.
So it's knowing what signs and symptoms are. So you can question when you see something, you can question to say, I've noticed that you look tired during the day. I've noticed that you are coming into late work on a regular basis. What's going on? Is there something that we need to talk about? And then once you have that conversation with somebody, you persuade them that they need to get help. So, and then the last thing is you actually refer them to somebody. So it's like doing CPR, but for your brain. So you are not the provider, you're not the expert, but you're getting them to the help that they need. So a lot of companies have an EAP, and an employee can get mental health counseling, that kind of thing. But really, it's a lot bigger than that. It's really that people are educated about what they're looking at and that they're not afraid to have a conversation with somebody to help them. So we know that for a fact that it's impacting your bottom line in a huge way. It's impacting attendance. It's impacting performance. And so when we talk to a lot of corporate people, they're like, this is not our responsibility. And we're like, do you know it's impacting the bottom line? And they, and so we have the data that we can show that. And so really it's providing the resources to a manager so that they're educated about what are the signs and symptoms, what are the resources, how to have a conversation, and then really to work with employees to create a safe space so they're psychologically safe. So they're not going to leave your organization and go work someplace else where they have better resources than what you have.
So it's making the environment a safe environment and providing resources, just another resource that we would provide all associates
right
in our workplaces, correct?
Right. And so we can do a lot of lunch and learns and that kind of thing too. We do a lot about what are protective factors, what are the things that are going to keep us mentally healthy, and they're very basic things that people don't think about. So who are your safe friends that you can say anything to? Who are your safe family members? Do you have gratitude in your life? Are you making sure you get outside? Are you making sure that you have mentors, that you have a spiritual life that, and that doesn't have to be religion. That can be that you go and sit by a tree. You meditate, you breathe, you learn what breathing things are going to calm you down and center you, those kinds of things. So it's really teaching people those tools and be very intentional about this needs to be a priority in your life. In order to be mentally healthy, you need to incorporate these things on a daily basis.
Well, and I certainly want to applaud, your efforts in getting this, to the forefront of everyone's attention. It sounds like you've impacted so many lives in our region that I just am amazed at what you've been able to accomplish. You said since 2008, correct?
Well, we really started doing the work in 2014. So, I mean, it's just to give you an example, we were just looking at how many trainings. So we will do over 600 trainings this year. We will have impacted over 200,000 people.
Oh my goodness, that is tremendous and much needed, obviously, in our community. So how many people work at 1 in 5?
There are 16 of us.
16. Okay, great. And so if I'm an employer and I need support, we can go to your website.
Yes. You can go to our website. You can look under corporate initiatives and you will see the contact information. The contact is Kelly Berry, who does corporate trainings, and we'll be happy to talk to you, walk you through. We really like to go into companies and do some data gathering. So we really can learn from the employees what they think the issues are, and then to walk alongside the organization. We never go into a company where we dictate what it needs to look like, because we need to understand every culture is different, priorities are different, kind of employees are different. So just to walk alongside you and look at what is going to work best for you, and then we can schedule those trainings out.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Sure.
Chris Knockelman with Schneller Knockelman Plumbing, Heating, and Air. It's spring now, but before you know it, our ACs are working overtime.
Dave, it's going to be warm soon.
Right now is a good time to get the AC serviced, right?
You can get your AC tuned up for only $59.
So get your $59 tune-up at
SKPHA.com. SKPHA. So if your plumbing and mechanical systems give you trouble, just remember our name, Schneller Knockelman.
Housing is a regional priority. Having an ample supply of homes is fundamental for the Northern Kentucky region to meet basic economic needs and enable regional growth. Learn more about income-aligned housing, the region's housing needs, and why it is essential to ensure Northern Kentucky continues to be a great place to live, work, play, learn, and give back at bit.ly/NKY Housing Study.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those words from our sponsors and hearing from our guests today from First Tee of Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky and 1 and 5. If you want more information about either of those organizations and the resources they offer, please visit their websites. And don't forget to register for our government forum happening on Wednesday, October 9th. Like I said, you can register now at nkychamber.com/events. Thank you once again to our podcast sponsors, CVG, Sea Crew Consulting, and Schneller Knockelman. Finally, if you are a member who would like to be featured on the podcast, or if you're someone who is interested in joining the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, please reach out to Lynn Aitman. And if you're a member who would like to share your workforce strategies and resources on our Talent Strategy Spotlight, please reach out to Nancy Spivey. You can find their contact information on the screen in front of you or our staff directory at nkychamber.com. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next week.